तत्प्रजा भारतपिण्डार्तं स्वार्थमेवानुसूयव कुरुताधदोक्षजाधीयस् तारिमेनुग्रहा कृता माताजी तत्प्रजा पार्थपिण्डार्तं स्वार्थमेवानुसूयव कुरुतादोक्षजाधीयस् Tad, therefore, Praja, my dear citizens, Bharatra of the Master, Pindartham, welfare after death, Swa-artham, own interest, Eva certainly, Anusuyava, without being envious, Kuruta, just execute, Adokshaja, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Dhiyas, Dhiya, thinking of him, Tadhi, therefore, may, unto me, Anugraha, mercy, Krita, being done. Translation. Ritu Maharaj continued, therefore, my dear citizens, for the welfare of your king after his death, you should execute your duties properly in terms of your positions of Varna and Ashram, and should always think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within your hearts. By doing so, you will protect your own interests and you will bestow mercy upon your king for his welfare after that. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jagatul Sri Prabhupada Ki Jai. The word Adhokshaja Dhiya, meaning Krishna consciousness, are very important in this verse. The king and the citizens should both be Krishna conscious. Otherwise, both of them will be doomed to lower species of life after that. A responsible government must teach Krishna consciousness very vigorously for the benefit of all. Without Krishna consciousness, neither the state nor the citizens of the state can be responsible. Prithu Maharaj therefore specifically requested the citizens to act on Krishna consciousness, and he was also very anxious to teach them how to become Krishna consciousness. A summary of Krishna consciousness is given in Bhagavad Gita 9.27. Yat karoshi yat asnarsi yat jahoshi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat karutasva madarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you give in charity, and whatever penances you undergo should be done in Krishna consciousness, or for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. If all the people of the state, including the government servants, are taught the techniques of spiritual life, then although everyone is liable to be punished in different ways by the straight laws of material nature, they will not be implicated. So let's, first of all, I'd like to bow down my head at the lotus feet of all you Vaishnavas, seeking empowerment that I'm able to serve. Thank you so much. I'm able to serve all you Vaishnavas through today's Bhagavatam class. So let's start today's Bhagavatam class with a question. So was Prithu Maharaj possessive or was he responsible? Responsible. Can you define responsible? And what is being possessive? So let's say if tomorrow the temple commander gives you a service that you have to control the crowd, would that be you being possessive or would that be you being responsible? If this was Kaun Banega Crorepati, you would have 1 crore rupees, you would have become Crorepati. So yes, so there's a very fine line between being responsible and being possessive. So Prithu Maharaj, so the tendency to hold on to the powers is called being possessive, whereas being responsible, you take full charge of it, you take full responsibility of it, but you're not attached to the power and position which comes with it. For example, Bharat, when Lord Ram was exiled, he was responsible about Ayodhya. He did not drown himself in the ocean of misery and Vishad, and said that, oh, the apple of my eye, Lord Ram has gone, and it's because of me. Actually, it is said that um, the 14 years where Lord Ram was not present in Ayodhya, the welfare activities of Ayodhya increased multifold times, because all the donation which was coming was given at the lotus feet of Lord Ram, or the padukas of Lord Ram. But whenever someone would come to ask for some money or for some donation, Bharat would say, oh, ask the king, the padukas, and the padukas won't say anything. So it was all incoming, but nothing outgoing. So the kingdom of Ayodhya actually flourished in Bharat's time, and he was responsible. He was doing all his duties. All, all, all the responsibilities of Ayodhya were very nicely being followed by being taken care of by Bharat Maharaj. But what he renounced was the power, the position, and the opulence which comes with it. He would actually dig 2 feet deep into the ground. There's a place near Ayodhya, Nandigram. He would stay there, and the reason why he would dig 2 feet deep was his thinking was that if Lord Ram is sleeping on the floor, I can't sleep in the uh, same place as him. So I have to sleep. I have to sleep below him, as in position. So he would do 2 feet deep, and he would sleep in the burrows, and he would just have some barley mixed with cow urine, and that's all he had for 14 years. Actually, he was doing greater austerities than Lord Ram. So there's a difference between being responsible and being possessive. Um, so was Prithu Maharaj responsible, or was he possessive? He was very responsible. As a king who was given this service, and he wanted to make sure that he's, from all aspects, he's making his citizens ready for it, his 5 sons ready for it. But he was not a king who was wanting to hold on to power like Dhritarashtra. He was not afraid to renounce it when needed. And we see in further chapters how Prithu and Archie, they renounce and they go into the forest, and then Prithu with his mystic powers annihilates himself, and Archie follows him. So that is also mentioned. But when he's ruling as the king, he's very responsible. Have you heard of the play Julius Caesar by Shakespeare? So in that play, Caesar is the king, and so he's very responsible, but and he's very ambitious. But the um, republic, or republic as in the council, and one of his very close associates, Brutus, they think that he's being too over ambitious, and if his powers are not checked, he might dismiss the republic and establish monarchy. So what he does, what they do is they assassinate him. They stab him 27 times, and 27th stab was by Brutus. So when Caesar saw Brutus stabbing him, he said, "Oh, you too, son," because Brutus was one person whom he almost considered to be like his child, and that's when he was assassinated. So unlike Maharaj Prithu, we see Caesar's ambition led him to his fate of being dead, whereas Prithu Maharaj also leaves his body, but that death is a glorious death. He's ascending to the higher planetary systems, to the spiritual world. In fact, he's an incarnation of the Lord, so non different from the Lord. But we should be very mindful that um, what our services are, and what responsibilities, when are we being responsible about it, and when are we being um, possessive about it. And it is very difficult. People fail. People, uh, including me, we don't realize when we're being possessive about something and when we're being responsible about it. There's a verse, and how to make sure that we're not responsible, we're not possessive about it. There's a verse in Bhagavatam. Ata pumbi dvija shreshta varnashrama vibhagasa swanishthitasya dharmasya samsiddhi ranitoshna. If we have this conception, if we have this idea fixed in our mind that it is for samsiddhi haritoshnam, it is for the pleasure of the Lord, then the chances are less that you'll get possessive about it. Because whatever you offer, Prabhupada is using this verse, yat karoshi yat ashnashi yat jahoshi dadasi sat. Whatever you do, whatever you are thinking, whatever your charity is, yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurusva mat arpanam. You offer it to the lotus feet of Krishna. There's very less, there are very less chances that you will actually feel proprietorship over it, because you'll feel possessive about it, because all of it is for the service of Sri Guru, Sri Hari, and Vaishnavas. We see an example of Tamal Krishna Maharaj. Tamal Krishna Maharaj established the Los Angeles temple, and he had this traveling Sankirtan bus party. It was like a magic bus where hippies, people would enter from this side and get out all shaven, saffron, tilak, kanthi, and get out from that side and go for preaching. That was how spectacular his preaching mission was. And when Prabhupada once he said, Tamal, I want you to do this service. And he said, Prabhupada, I have this service. I'm doing the Sankirtan party. I'm doing preaching. And he's saying, what preaching? Prabhupada said, what preaching are you doing? And the next day, what he does is, all the boys whom he has preached, all of them standing in a line, 20, 30 brahmacharis, with rose in their hand, offering it to Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj standing at the side, and Prabhupada said, this is preaching. Continue. And then later on, in a place where Grihasthas and and Sannyasis are having an argument, and Prabhupada seemed to take side of the Grihasthas, and then Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, oh, I might as well just go to China. There's a saying, when you're losing an argument in US, they commonly, it's just a phrase, that I might as well go to China. And then Prabhupada said, yes, Paramatma is inspiring you through the heart. And then Tamal Krishna Maharaj leaves everything, goes to China, does the preaching endeavor, starts the preaching movement in China, and makes sure that it flourishes. He was a perfect administrator. He was the perfect temple president. He was a perfect commander. He was the perfect leader. So, that's the difference between being responsible. He's extremely responsible, but he's not possessive at all. When Prabhupada asked him to give it up, he gave it up. You see the example of Bharat. How did he renounce his kingdom? Just as someone passes stool and does not even look behind and moves on. That's how he renounced his kingdom and just moved on. So this is very important. And if I might be too bold to make a comment which might be out of my adhikar, a lot of the hot topic right now, Shri Shri Radha Gopinath ki jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Mai ki jai, Jagadguru Shri Prabhupada ki jai. The bold comment is about the Ritviks, the hot topic. So such glorious disciples of Srila Prabhupada, like Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, Loknath Maharaj, Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, Sri Radhanath Maharaj, Radha Govind Maharaj, Gaur Govind Maharaj, Jayabhadak Swami Maharaj, all these glorious disciples of Srila Prabhupada are being criticized by Ritviks and are being rejected. And ironically, someone who's following the parampara since time immemorial and someone who's wanting to follow the parampara is being called a deviant. And someone who has introduced a new parampara which does not find any mention in the scriptures, which does not find any future references, or in law, what do they call it? There's a word I'm forgetting. So there are no future references for that, and they are wishing to follow that. And irony is, that the one who's deviating from the path of parampara is calling the ones who are wanting to follow the parampara as deviants. And forget about that. Someone who's given their lives to serve Srila Prabhupada, someone who's given their everything for the service and for the growth of this movement, is now being criticized as someone who's being possessive, who's being desirous of having that power. This is the irony, and this is the sad, unfortunate part. But anyway, so this is being responsible and being possessive. Today it's a weekend, it's a Saturday class. I wouldn't want to bore you with a lot of philosophy. So, talking about the mood of Prithu Maharaj taking care of his citizens, let's dive into Krishna Leela, where we talk about how a prince is protecting his citizens. And let's talk about a very special pastime of Krishna killing Kalia. Krishna is the prince, not killing Kalia, subduing Kalia. So Krishna is a prince, and he's protecting his citizens. So that's where I draw the line. Actually, we shouldn't be sitting here judging the speaker or judge who is saying what are they saying. And there are a lot of listeners who are sitting here or who are listening just because they want to see if the speaker is saying whatever he's saying, if it's in if it's in relation with the verse. What will you understand? We should sit with the surrender, with this attitude to surrender, and see what Srimad Bhagavatam has to reveal to me today. It is like a rasgulla. From wherever you eat, it is sweet. So, as far as my adhikar, as far as my realization goes on this verse, it is that one should make sure that they are doing their services in the mood of the servant of the servant of the servant, and they should make sure that they're not being possessive about it. I have done services and I've failed personally. Call me a failed preacher if you want to, but because of this desire of holding on to the power, we make 3 devotees and we are very proud that, oh, this person came into Krishna consciousness because of me. But what about the 30 devotees who left because of you? So we should always be humble, be very sorry for the people whom we weren't able to cultivate and who actually had a bad experience of Krishna consciousness because of me, and surrender on to Krishna, Srila Prabhupada, request him to make our consciousness like that we are able to have that mood of being the servant of the servant of the servant of our gurus. So, as far as philosophy, that is what my realization of this verse is. Let's go on to the Krishna Leela, where just like how Prithu Maharaj is making sure that his citizens are protected from the hellish planetary conditions, because if you don't follow the dharma, hell awaits you. We see Krishna, he's protecting his citizens, his father's citizens. Actually, he's not the king. There's a reason why Krishna is not the king, because with the king you've got a lot of responsibilities, and Krishna, he's Vrindavan Bihari, or he's Banke Bihari. He just wants to roam around, and he's the son of a rich man, so he doesn't have to be worried about earning money, doesn't have to be worried about taking care of the family, feeding the family. He's a rich, spoiled brat who's just roaming around in the forest of Vrindavan freely, having his pastimes, enjoying with his friends, and that's the beauty of Krishna Leela. Aradhya Bhagwan Vrajesha Tanayas Tad Dhama Vrindavan. That is the beauty of Vrindavan. This you don't get this experience in Dwarka, because now Krishna is the king. He has to do administration work. He has to become a just ruler. All of those pastimes. He cannot go around teasing the gopis. Imagine the king going into the town, teasing the women of the town. He'll no longer be called a saintly king. Narad Muni won't come into Dwarka and glorify Krishna anymore if he does that. But in Vrindavan, sab chalta. Krishna can do whatever he likes, because he's the prince. So this prince, and now Krishna. So what the story begins with, Krishna being 6-year-old, reaching his Poganda Leela, He reaches his Poganda Leela. He has this argument with his mother that, you know, I should get some promotion from being Vatsapal. Now I want to be a Gopal because till how long do you want me to stay around Nand Bhavan and tend for these calves and just play around with these small boys? Now I want to take more responsibility. As the future king, I'll be responsible for the entire Vrindavan, and now the start should be from giving me uh, the charge of the cows. So I want to become the from Vatsapal. I want to transfer. I want to transfer. I want an upgrade to being a Gopal. So he gets the Gopashmi ceremony happens. He becomes Gopal, and now Krishna every day he's roaming around the forests with his friends, playing, frolicking around, and Jai Shri Shri Radha Gopinath ki, Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Mai ki, Shri Shri Gauranitai ki Jai. And he's playing around, and actually there's a very beautiful verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. बर्हापीडं नटवरवपुः कर्णयो कर्णिकारं बिभ्रत्वास कनककपिशं वैजयन्ती च मालं रन्ध्रान् वेणुअधरसुधया पूर्णयन् गोपवृन्दै वृन्दारण्यं स्वपदरमणं प्राविशद्गीतकीर्तिः. Wearing a golden yellowish dhoti, having a karnika flower on one of his ears, very beautifully tucking his dhoti as if how I've tucked it right now, and dancing, he enters the forest of Vrindavan. This is what the gopis see when Krishna enters the groves of forest. There's one more beautiful verse. Kasturi tilakam lalata patale vakshasthale kaustubham nasakre varamautikam karatale venu karankankanam sarvanga harichandana sulalite kanthe cha muktavali Gopal Pariveshtito Vijayate Gopala Chudamani. So these verses, I won't get into the depth of this verse because there's an entire pastime I have to cover. So Krishna enters this forest, and look at Gopinath. This is how Krishna looks. There were some highly elevated scholars who came to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, "Oh, so who is God according to you?" And he said, "Oh, Prabhupada, it's a very, you've asked a very lofty question. It'll require a lot of, it'll be a very lengthy answer." And there's small Saraswati, little 5-year-old girl playing with, playing around Sri Prabhupada's room. Prabhupada calls her and says, "Saraswati, who is God?" "Simple, Krishna." Okay. And then Prabhupada is looking at the scholars. So, what can I describe with the beauty of Krishna? Damodar Rati Mataji has very beautifully done the Shringar of Radha Gopinath. Mataji has very beautifully made the Vaijayanti Mala of Gopinath. This is how Radha Gopinath look. This is how Krishna looked when he entered the forest. And so most of what I'll be saying is from Sanatana Goswami's Sri Krishna Leela Stava. So there are verses which describe what sort of games Krishna played. O enjoyer of the game of carriers and carried, you carried Sridhama victory to you. You had Balram strike down the invincible Pralamba, O darling of Pralambas. O darling of Balram. So Krishna would play different games like blind bluff. So someone would Aankh Mein Choli. So he would play Aankh Mein Choli. They would have sticks. They would throw their cow herding sticks, and whoever throws it the most, the further, is the winner. So they would have these games. They would have running games. They would have swimming competitions. They would mimic the crows. They would mimic the swans. They would mimic the cows, the tigers, and they would play with balls, and all of these games Krishna and the Sakhas would play. So it so happened that it's the month of, it's the summer season, and actually wherever Krishna enters, it's the Madhav Ritu. So Krishna is entering, but this area, which was actually a restricted area because Kaliya Rid, actually there was Kaliya did not inhabited the main river Yamuna. It was a small stream, small lake made made by made by river Yamuna. That's where Kalia actually started residing. And why did he reside there? Because from the from the planet of the serpents, he migrated to Yamuna because there was Garuda would often come to that planet. I'm forgetting the name of of that lok. Does any of you remember? Do any of you remember? Uh-huh. What is the planet of the serpents? Atal, Vital, Patal, Sutal, Rasat. I think it's Rasatu. If you find that table on the net, can you just read that out and tell me? I'll hold. So that is where Kalia was migrated to Yamuna because yes, I think it's Mahatal is the planet from where Kalia migrated, to the best of my knowledge. But whoever is hearing this can verify. So so he migrated to Yamuna because there was a sage who was doing austerities over there, and uh, he would often see Garuda coming in, fetching his lunch, breakfast, and dinner, the fishes in Yamuna, and seeing the widows of the fishes, of those fishes. Um, what was the name of this sage? Who cursed Garuda? Strawberry. So Strawberry, seeing Strawberry Rishi. So seeing Strawberry seeing fishes being fishes wailing like that, he cursed Garuda that if your beak ever touches River Yamuna, um, you'll die. And Kalia, when he got to know that, and when it was his turn to actually be eaten by Kalia, by Garuda, he migrated to Yamuna because he knew that Garuda won't come there, and he started living there. Actually, it was Krishna Rid, and Kalia made it his Rid. So this understanding one can learn that oftentimes we have these false identifications. Sanatan Goswami goes to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and what does he say? Ke ami, ke ne amar, chare to patroy, yeh nahi jane, ke mo nahi tahoy. Who am I? What is I don't know who am I? What is my privilege in life? People think I'm a great scholar, and I'm stupid enough to actually believe what they say, but I don't know what will benefit me. And what does he say? Pranav was giving class yesterday. What shloka did he quote? Jivira Swarupoy Krishna Nitya Das. That the identification of the jiva is Krishna Nitya Das. It is not Jivira Swarupoy Krishna Nepali Das. It is not Jivira Swarupoy Krishna Bengali Das. Oftentimes what we do is in the temple, we see we are trying to access something which is so high, which is Krishna consciousness. But we are, because we have previous conditionings, we are still so attached to the lower, to the other identifications we have. That I'm a Nepali. Haldar Maharaj say, "Tum Nepali ho?" Sahi mein? Are you really a Nepali? Are you really Bengali? Are you really Indian? Are you really Pakistani, Afghan, whatever you think you are? You are not that person. What is Mahaprabhu saying? Naham Vipro Chanarapati Naham Vaishya na Shutro. I am not a Brahmana. If I think I'm a Brahmana, that's false identification. What are we so proud of? We come from the land of India. Really? The only reason why you should be attached to that land is that land has Sri Vrindavan Dham, Sri Mayapur Dham. There's a verse, one who considers the land of his birth to be a great land of birth, or there's a verse in Bhagavatam, it's considered to be a great fool. Oftentimes we see marginalization happening in the temple, and I've seen it. People don't want to associate with people from other backgrounds because they think, oh, he's not qualified enough, as if he needs to get Brahmin initiation into Nepali Sampradaya to become a part of your group. That's not true. I'm not targeting a specific group. I'm just saying that make sure that our consciousness does not turn into Kaliya consciousness. This is not Kalya Rit. This is not Bengali Society of Krishna Consciousness. This is International Society of Krishna Consciousness. Everyone is welcome, and we should have Dadati pratik nihati goyam akhati prachati bhungte bhojayate chaiva shadvidhi preeti lakshanam. Yes, that is right. We should have these relationships. But no one said that you are supposed to have these relationships only with people whom you gel with and not the people outside. A devotee should welcome. That is what I'm saying, that I apologize to all of the people who did not have a good experience in Krishna consciousness because of me, because of my shortcomings. Because I wasn't welcoming enough to them. And I'd say I'm actually junior to all of you, but sitting on this Vyasasana, I'd give this, I'll request this, that next time when you see people who you think, oh, it's, I understand it's out of your comfort zone, but still make sure that that is preaching. If you are just preaching, actually, someone said giving Srimad Bhagavatam classes is sense gratification. And I really agree with that. Because all of these devotees have come from Srila Prabhupada. If I really want to preach, I should preach outside the temple. People who are not into Krishna conscious. I'm giving Hari Katha, I'm talking about Krishna to people who are already Krishna conscious. If I wouldn't give Srimad Bhagavatam class today, some of the brahmacharis would give or someone else would give. I'm not really preaching here. I'm actually, it is sense gratification. But I would still surrender, and I can give this justification that I'm trying to improve, so that outside when I give Srimad Bhagavatam class, I might be a bit better. Talking about Krishna in front of devotees is way easier than talking about Krishna outside the temple. So point being that next time when you see people who are outside your so-called group, reach out to them. Make sure that they have a good experience in the temple. Make sure that they have a good introduction to Krishna consciousness. Even if they've not, dharma projita kaita bhotri parmo. Leave this kaita dharma of associating with, oh, he's Nepali, come. He's Bengali, kemonache. He's not this person, I don't care. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Shouldn't have that mood. Everyone, each and every, Sri Radhanath Maharaj in Radha Gopinath temple in Chowpatty, he would say, each and every person who comes through the gate of the Radha Gopinath temple is the personal guest of Sri Radha Gopinath. Have that experience. Let them have that experience. Let them have that, positive feedback about the temple. Let them not. I was hearing someone say, ISKCON North Sydney is becoming NISKCON. ISKCON is becoming NISKCON. International Society for Nepali. What is it? Nepali Indian Society of Krishna Consciousness. Actually, that's what led to, if you see ISKCON's history, it was actually more of the Westerners and very few Indians. And now it's the other way around. Most of the Indians and less Westerners. Now, I'm not saying Indians are not jivas. I'm saying let Krishna consciousness not be restricted to only Indians and Nepalis and Bengalis and Marathis or Gujaratis or Punjabis. Let it, why do you want to restrict Krishna's mercy? Let it go far and wide. So that was my point. So Kalya, he thinks that this is Kalya Rit, but actually it was Krishna's Rit. And then he inhabited that, and he had this potency called Jalastamba, where he could turn water into solid, into solid, and he had created beautiful palaces and lakes and a vast kingdom, and he had a lot of friends, a lot of Nagapatnigan, a lot of wives. His wives were devotees, by the way, and that's why he was the only person only demon who was not killed but subdued. So he goes into, so Krishna and his friends are passing through this lake. Suddenly they feel very thirsty. I'm wrapping it up. So they feel very thirsty, and when they feel very thirsty, they drink that water, and when they drink water from Kalya Rit, all of them die. Krishna, sir, there are so Krishna looks at them and revives all of them. There's actually, if you read Srimad Bhagavatam before 10th canto, there's an elaborate description of how creation happened. But Chandogya Upanishad says, Sa Aikshata, Krishna looked. and the creation happened. So this is the divine nature of Krishna's vision. When we come into the temple and stand in front of the deities, we should not try to see the deities, but try to be seen by the deities. So aikshata, if Krishna sees, you are all good. I was listening to a lecture of Amog Leela Prabhu, and he was saying how he heard a devotee pray that, "Oh Lord Narsinghdev, just like you killed Hiranyakashipu, please kill the vices and the Kam, Krodh, Lust, Matsarya in my heart." And then some devotee nudges him and says, "Such an elaborate prayer. Just say, Narsinghdev, just rip me apart. Kam khatam." And if he rips you apart, you get the ultimate goal of life. You get Lord's favor, and that's what you need. So, philosophy aside, next time you come, just say, "Oh Krishna, just look at me, and I'll be perfect. My life will be perfect." It said, "Isko laga dala, to life chinga lala." So, just laga lo mujhe, and then life chinga lala. My life will be perfect. So then Krishna looks at all the cowherd boys. They are revived, and then what Krishna does is he climbs onto the Kadamba tree, which was the only tree surviving. Actually, Kadamba tree represents Srimati Radharani. So he climbs the Kadamba tree, he hugs the tree, puts his foot onto the tree, and then he's showing his muscles, he's showing his biceps, triceps, and he actually pats his laps as if he's making a lot of noise because he wants to disturb Kalia. He wants to disturb Kalia's ego. So he jumps into the lake of the Kalia Rith, and he starts swimming, and he makes a lot of noise, and that disturbs Kalia's envy. That is the nature of envy. Someone tries to show himself to be greater than us, and our envy strikes him. तुझे मैं बताता हूँ. I'll show you. Who are you? I've been in temple since since 7 years, and you've just been in the temple since 2 years. You are showing me what a devotee is. You are showing me how to read Srila Prabhupada's Pranam Mantra. I'll show you. That is not the mood we should have. Actually, we should rejoin ISKCON in every 6 months as a neophyte. We should always stay Uttama Kanishta. In that sense, that we should always consider ourselves to be neophytes in Krishna consciousness. So he enters the lake and he splashes, and that disturbs Kalia. Kalia and Krishna have a fight, and Kalia coils Krishna around. And for at least one Mahurta, Krishna was coiled remained coiled by Kalia's into Kalia's tails, into the tail of Kalia. And at that time, actually this day, Balram did not accompany Krishna. So during this time, there were a lot of inauspicious omens which were present in the environment. So the meteoroids were falling. There was, बिजली कड़कने को क्या बोलते हैं? Lightning, storms, and left limbs and left eyes of all the Vrajvasis were, twitching. So it is considered inauspicious in Vedic culture. So all of these inauspicious omens were happening, and actually Parikshit Maharaj over here, he comments that all the Vraj kids, they were so thirsty that they drank the water, and then Parikshit Maharaj taunts Sukdev Goswami taunts Parikshit that you know how thirst is like. You've experienced it. And for people who don't know the context, it was actually because Parikshit himself, he put the dead snake around Shamik Rishi's neck, and that's how he was cursed. And that when he got to know that he was cursed, he says, "Sadhu, that this was actually nice that I was cursed like that." So he's being taunted like that by Shukdev Goswami, and then the story continues. He's got around the Vrajvasis, even the small boys who are not able to walk yet, they're crawling and they're looking for Krishna. Everyone's calling out for Krishna, 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 Krishna. Everyone looks for him, and then they see Krishna's footprints, because all the footprints of Krishna never stepped on by the other cowherd boys and other cows. They treated to be the most valuable jewel. So Krishna's lotus feet. What is the time, bro? So Krishna's lotus feet are footprints of his lotus feet are very carefully, you know, secured. They're not stepped upon. So they follow those footprints and they see that Krishna has gone to the Kalya Rit, and the Vrajvasis, they give up their, they've externally they've given up their lives, and some of the Vrajvasis decided that they just want to jump into Kalya Rit and get Krishna back, but Balram is saving everyone. And over here Shukdev Goswami says Balram is Madhavo, that all the Vrajvasis are crying but Balram's laughing. Why is he laughing? Because he thinks, oh, I'm I'm the king of all the snakes. I'm Adi Shesh, and Krishna sleeps on me. And there's a small water snake here, and Krishna is playing with him, and the Vrajvasis think that, oh, Krishna will die. Oh, Krishna, something will happen to Krishna. So, and he's actually a bit jealous of Kalia, that Krishna never played like this with me, but this was little insignificant water snake, and Krishna is having so much pastimes with him. Kalia is kissing. Actually, he was biting Krishna, so Kalia is kissing him. Kalia is hugging him. I never got this opportunity. So, and actually Shukdev Goswami says him Madhavo, and he says that this resident of Mathura, because Balram actually, he came from Mathura, right? So he says, these Mathura Vasis, they actually enjoy seeing Vrajvasis in pain. So he's actually giving, Vyang kar rahe hain. There's a taunt here on to Akrura and all the Mathura Vasis. They derive happiness seeing Vrajvasis suffer. So Balram is, he's laughing, but he's also acting very responsible. Coming back to the verse today, so he was acting very responsible. He was, with his hands, he was, trying to keep Rajvasis at a bay and stop them from uh, jumping into the Kalya Rit. At that time, Yashoda Mai, she is just giving up her life, but her maid servants and her friends, they are speaking Hari Katha to her. They're just talking about Krishna. It is just like her life is about to leave her body, but when the Atma is about to leave from one of the parts of her body, the friends of Yashoda might show her Krishna. Try to remind her of Krishna. So if the Atma is trying to leave from the ears, Krishna Katha is actually stopping the Atma to still be in the body. So she has just left her body, and Krishna is waiting. Why is he waiting? Why is he in the coils of Kalya? Because Krishna, this is like Ranga Pravesham of Krishna. You know what Ranga Pravesham is? A dancer learns, a classical dancer, learns under a guru for 7-8 years. And when the dancer does his first performance, that is known as Arangetram or Ranga Pravesham. So this is like Krishna's Ranga Pravesham. Today, Krishna is giving his first official dance performance. So all what he had before was 5-6 boys who were just, and those also fainted because they saw Krishna going into the lake. Now Krishna is waiting for all the Vrajvasis, all the audience to come, especially the audience from Varsana, Srimati Radha. So when she comes, then Krishna lights, camera, action. So that's why Krishna will actually dance. So now all the Vrajvasis, they come, and then they see Krishna actually how Kalya. So he had 100,000, 1,001 hoods, 1,000, 100, and then 1. So now Krishna, he holds the tail of Kalya, and how we see in action movies, he swirls him in the water, and Kalya already starts feeling dizzy. But this is just the start. Now when Krishna has to purify someone, how he purifies? So he starts dancing on the hoods of Kalya. Now it's his first Ranga Pravesham, right? So Ranga Pravesham, when there's a dance performance, there has to be a stage, there has to be lights. So what are the lights? Actually Kalya on his hoods had different jewels. So those jewels, when they would reflect onto the lotus feet of Krishna, they would have different lights. And Indra was actually having special sound effects through lightning and through mild rain drizzle, and there were different color lightnings happening in the sky. And the water of Yamuna, because it was so polluted and it was so toxic, that it had various colors in it, purple, bluish, all the toxic colors, which they were also being highlighted in this kind of a setup. So as far as lighting, the main light was coming out from Kalya's, the jewels on the hoods of Kalya. So that's lights. And then there has to be music. So Brahma comes with Gardals, and Lord Shiva has his Dimdima Damru. Saraswati comes with her Veena, and all the Gandharvas have their instruments, and all the Yakshas, Gandharvas, Kinnars, Charanas, they all come with their instruments and various type of musical ornaments, and they start singing. And there are flowers, which continuous flower abhishek happening on Krishna. And now there's camera is the Brajvasis. Lights are the various lightings, and then there's music. There's beautiful Krishna music, and there's a very beautiful actually. What are the beats? Tam tika tajjam, taka tajjam, taka tika tajjam tam. These are the beats on which Krishna is actually dancing. He's actually showing the gopis that what the choreography for the Ras Leela would be. So Mita tajjam, taka tajjam, taka tika tajjam tam. So when he's doing this, he's actually jumping onto the various hoods of Kalia. Because one hood he's he's tapping his feet on the beats, and it's a cupped stage, so it's not actually a flat stage. It's a cupped stage, and that stage is trying to bite you, and that stage is constantly moving. Such an excellent expert dancer you have to be to dance on that stage. That is why Krishna says, Natavara Vapahu Karnayo Karnikaram. He's Natavar, best among the dancers. Neela Manohara Jala Vibhushata Vikata Tarango Tunga Tatanga Nartana Nartana Tam. So his beautiful blue color complexion body, Neela Manohara Jala Vibhushata Vikata Tarango Tunga Ta, and there are waves of Yamuna, wide waves of Yamuna, in which Kalia is actually the Mahavave, who is trying to get to Krishna, but he's not able to. So Krishna is actually tapping his feet, stamping each and every hood of Kalia with his lotus feet. And I'll read some verses which, as your dear friends sank into bewilderment, the cows watched you with tearful eyes. Alarmed at fearful omens, everyone in Braj set out to find you. Who you had gone, I offer you my worship. And then your divine Lord Kalia Fana Manikya Ranjita Shri Padambuja Nija Gandharva Siddhadi Gita Vadyati Nartita. So at that time the Apsaras that day did not dance because they were taking lessons. They were with a pen and copy. They were learning these new beats. They were learning these new dance numbers. So all the dance items you can think, Odissi, Kuchipudi, Bharatanatyam, all of them, you find their origin in Krishna. Krishna is showing all of these dances, and there's such beautiful beats. So there are lights, there's music, there's camera, there's action happening, and then Krishna is stamping and purifying the body of Kalia, and when he's dancing like that, Kalia starts oozing out blood. He starts spilling his venom and his blood, and this is a sight which is beheld by all the Vrajvasis who are seeing this. I have to wrap this up because it's almost time. So when after this, the Nagapatnis they came and they said that, my lord, this venomous serpent, he's so envious that we were praying that let him die, so that we are able to have practice our Krishna consciousness in peace. But now that he's stamped by your lotus feet in such a way, we think that what fortune this rascal has done, that he's got the mercy which even Devi Lakshmi does not get, of constant tapping of your lotus feet. Now that he's purified, if you so desire, then please forgive him. And what is that verse? What is that song? Jayo Radhe Jayo Krishna, which Mataji, you must know the verse. Jaya Dvija Patni Jaya Naga Kanyagan. So seeing the simplicity and seeing the devotion in the hearts of the Naga Kanyas, Krishna forgives Kalia. And when Krishna forgives Kalia, and he asks Kalia to go back to Ramanakadweep. Ramanakadweep is where Kalia had migrated from. So he says, he orders Kalia to go back to Ramanakadweep, and he says that now that I have stamped on to your lotus onto your head, Garuda will not do any harm to you. So you and Garuda will be nice friends, but don't pollute this water anymore. You should leave. And then the Nagakanyas, they offer various scents, sandalwood, garlands to Krishna, and they even offer their Kostuba jewel to Krishna, and they beg their forgiveness with their kids and Nagapatnis. Kalya goes back to Ramanakadweep. At that time, when Krishna comes out, now this is the difference between Aishwarya and Madhurya. So all the Vrajvasis in Aishwarya, one display of opulence, all the sweetness is dissolved. But in Madhurya, when Krishna comes out of Yamuna, they say, "Oh, Krishna must have caught cold because for so long he's been in Yamuna." At that time, at Dwadash Aditya Tila, the 12 forms of sun come and they give warmth to Krishna, and they give comfort to Krishna, and the life and air comes back into the bodies of Nand Maharaj and Yashoda Mai. If all the Vrajvasis are very happy, and I think it is time we should finish here. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki cha, Jagat Guru Shri Prabhupada ki cha, Samaved Bhakta Binda ki cha, Nitai Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Gaur.